हे वीर पुरुष पुरुषार्थ करो, तुम अपना मान बढ़ाओ ना, अपनी इच्छा शक्ति के बल पर तुम उनको जवाब दे आओ ना। इतनी जल्दी थक जाना नहीं, चलना तुमको कोसों है। पांडव तो आज भी 5 ही हैं, कौरव आज भी 100 हैं। Hello, welcome to 10MEXPERT IAS. Today we have with us Mr. Chirag Jain, who has secured All India rank 215 in UPSC CSE 2019 and allotted as an IPS Chhattisgarh cadre. First of all, heartiest congratulations to you, bhaiya.
Thank you so much.
It would be better if you introduce yourself.
My name is Chirag Jain and I have been born and brought up in Saharanpur district of Uttar Pradesh. I have done my schooling and in 2011 I got admission into IIT Kanpur. I graduated from there in 2015 with a degree in electrical engineering BTech, and then I started preparing for civil services, and in 2018 exam I got 355 rank and was allotted Indian Railway Traffic Service. Same year I got 10th rank in Indian Forest Service Examination, and I got 𝗦𝗲𝗏𝗃 cadre in IFS. And in the next year 2019 examination I got 215 rank and I got IPS.
Amazing. So how do you feel when you get this rank? What was that feeling?
Much more than anything, it was a feeling of relief, the feeling of accomplishment after achieving the target that I had set. I wanted to get into the civil service and especially IAS and IPS. So after I got IPS, so it was a sense of relief and a sense of happiness was also there. And apart from that, a lot of uncertainty that was prevailing before the result that ended. So it was ultimately a very happy feeling.
Okay. So to whom you want to dedicate this success?
Most importantly, to the Almighty God. He has always been there. As all of us pray to God, worship Him, so we expect certain things, the blessings of the God. Apart from that, my parents have played an important role in my upbringing and my supporting me in my education. Apart from that, my wife has also been a constant pillar of support. Apart from that, all the family members have supported me directly or indirectly, and last but not the least, my friends have stood by me all the time and they have supported me a lot.
So now moving to the strategy part. So in this we cover it in 2 phases, for the strategy part for the beginners as well as to the experienced one. So starting with how you define your UPSC journey, what are the mistakes and the takeaways, the do's and don't?
See, my first attempt was in 2016. At that attempt I was able to clear the preliminary examination but could not clear the mains. So the first learning at that time was the 2 things that I lacked behind in. One, lack of revision, and second, lack of answer writing practice. So this costed me heavily in the mains examination, and this is one thing, first learning that I got. And in the second attempt in 2017 I reached up to interview stage but could not make into the final list. Here the learning was focusing equally on all the subjects, all the aspects of the syllabus. In that attempt I focused mainly on my optional subject, that is mathematics, but GS had lesser focus. So this was second learning, that you have to give equitable focus to all the topics in the syllabus. And in the third attempt I got 355 rank. So I made certain changes in my strategy. I focused on answer writing, I focused on revision, and I gave equitable emphasis on all the subjects. So considering by making these changes I was able to get through the examination, and in my opinion these are the learnings that should be taken.
So as you are from engineering background, so when you decided that you have to prepare for civil service exams and to pursue it as a career?
I was earlier looking at various career options, but after interacting with various alumni of my college and discussing with my family members and discussing with various experts, I came to the conclusion that civil services would be the right option for me, and this happened around my third year in my BTech.
Okay.
So at that time I made up my mind for civil services.
Okay. So looking at the uncertainty of this exam, so what is your view for the beginners? That is it necessary to have a plan B, or we have to entirely focus on UPSC CS?
Indeed, this is a very uncertain exam. There is no doubt about that. At the same time, it also requires wholehearted preparation. So my advice would be to initial first 1 or 2 attempts one should devote wholeheartedly to this examination. If he or she is not able to make through the examination, then one can look at some other plans along with the preparation.
Okay. So coming to the strategy part and the sources and the material, so how do you prepare for the current affairs?
Current affairs, current affairs has to be prepared from the perspective of the topics in the syllabus. Current affairs are not separately mentioned in the syllabus of the mains examination. You have to look at the syllabus, you have to look at the previous year question papers. Based on that, you have to understand what is important in the current affairs. For example, if there is certain topic on economy or agriculture, science and technology, you have to relate it to the syllabus and then read current affairs. My strategy was, in the morning I used to go through the newspaper in around half an hour, and this way I used to get hold of what are the happenings that are occurring. See, after that you have to understand what is important for the syllabus. There are certain websites that come out with the synopsis of the current affairs on a daily basis. So it would be advisable to go through that synopsis and incorporate them into your notes as per the syllabus demands, as per the syllabus content.
So according to you, is there any separate strategy for pre or mains to prepare the current affair, or they are integrated?
In my opinion, prelims and mains examination are integrated, and same holds true for current affairs. At the same time, yes, current affairs, the prelim examination requires certain degree of factual information, so that has to be accommodated, and we have to prepare accordingly.
Okay. So of late, certain sections like agriculture and now this year sports section has been included. So what are your tips to prepare those sections and the sources regarding the main 5 to 6 subjects?
Regarding sports, I would say that we have to keep our eyes and ears open.
Okay.
See, the UPSC examination is a very dynamic examination. It keeps on evolving. Now they have started asking these award questions, sports questions. So what I can feel is they expect a candidate to be open to all the things, to keep their eyes and ears open rather than just reading the books that have been prescribed by various coaching institutions also.
Okay. So what was your thought process while reading certain topics? We have this approach regarding any topic. Can you elaborate with any example?
There are two things. One, go through the syllabus thoroughly. Just remember the syllabus by heart. It is very much essential. And second, go through the previous year questions, at least 6-7 years question papers, and understand the frequency of the examiner. What kind of questions are being asked in the examination. Based on that, you have to read a topic. If you study the syllabus, if you study the previous year question papers, then you will automatically understand what is important and what is not important while reading anything.
Okay. So what is the perfect time to start answer writing for the beginners?
I would say that around 6-7 months before prelims. Continue the answer writing practice for 3-4 months, and then go for the prelims preparation exclusively, and then after prelims answer writing on a almost daily basis or alternate days.
On alternative or on daily basis? Okay. So did you refer NCERTs for the sections like art and culture, ancient and medieval, or you refer to the Tamil Nadu books? Because most of them are.
I refer to NCRTs, especially the old NCRTs. The old NCRTs have now been written by the authors as different books. For example, for ancient India, we had R.S. Sharma, a book by R.S. Sharma. So that was earlier old NCRT. So similarly, Satish Chandra's book for medieval India. So and geography, old NCRTs are very good. So one can get the photocopy of those books in the market.
That will
so I would recommend NCRTs, especially old NCRTs.
Old NCRTs. So what was your daily schedule while preparing for this exam? Like from morning, as you said, you have to read a newspaper in 30 minutes. So can you elaborate the whole schedule? You manage your time?
See, schedule as such was not fixed, but yes, number of hours, the minimum number of hours that had to be put in, I try to maintain it to 8-9 hours, 10 hours daily. And in that, the effectiveness of the study process was important.
Okay. So, any strategy regarding particular for prelims that we have to follow before the prelims exam, 3 months before the prelim exam?
At that time, there are two things that we have to do. One, constant revision, and second, attempting the mock test papers. And not just attempting the mock test papers, but doing value addition out of their solutions. So these are the two important things that one should go through while preparing for prelims exclusively.
As you said regarding the mock test, so any particular number regarding the mock test or the approach we need to take to solve the mock test?
Numbers, it depends on the person to person, but the approach, one, don't just attempt the mock test paper. Rather than that, after attempting, look at the solutions and do value addition. And second, another objective of test paper is to get a hang of the process. You have to learn elimination process. You have to be smart enough to answer a question correctly, even if you don't know the correct answer.
Okay.
So that process will develop only when you attempt more and more mock test papers.
Okay. So what was your strategy regarding general studies paper from GS 1 to 4?
The strategy was broadly the same. See, what I used to do was I used to take a test series and for the mains, and they used to give these many topics for each paper. So I used to prepare those topics and then attempt those tests, and then do value addition of the test, value addition from the test paper. So in this way I was able to complete the whole paper, all the GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4.
GS4. So any separate strategy for GS4, like we have case studies?
See, GS4 is more important about definitions and examples. There are certain terms given in the syllabus of GS4, so you have to internalize the meaning of those terms. For example, what is a value, what is empathy, what is compassion, like that. So you have to understand each term, and you have to have a definition of that term in your as per your understanding. And secondly, you have to have examples related to each term. This is very important because in the actual examination process you don't have the time to recall the definition or recall the examples. So those examples have to be thoroughly in your mind, and you should be able to write them quickly, instantly in the examination, and you don't have to recall them.
Okay. So what are the importance of diagram in mains answer writing, as nowadays many people are suggesting that we have to put value addition diagrams in each answer to gain that one extra mark?
I would say that diagrams do not have any value on their own.
Okay.
If you don't write any good answer, then diagram won't do anything. But yes, they add value by the method in such a manner that they enhance the visibility of your content.
Okay.
Examiner is reading your answer copy. He has to find out the correct answer. but if you make a diagram, then he'll instantly pick up the relevant points, and it will be easy for him to find out what is required in the answer. So in that way marks can be enhanced. There is more value addition to the answer by the way of diagrams, but diagrams alone don't have any value. If you don't write a proper answer and just focus on making diagrams, that won't do any good.
Okay. So what are your tips regarding how to do this value addition? What are the sources we have to refer to do this value addition after completing our mains syllabus according to the syllabus?
See, any person who is writing mains examination, I would say that he has good understanding of all the topics.
Okay.
In this context, the value addition becomes more important, because it is ultimately the marks that matter, and marks come when we add value to our answers, and for that there are certain things that we have to incorporate in our answers. One, Supreme Court judgments, articles of the Constitution, relevant facts and numbers, the recommendations by various expert committees. So these things do value addition in answers, and we should use them.
How to write an answer in this 7-minute duration? So we have to prepare our material before that, or anything extra?
One practice is important.
Okay.
You have to have sufficient practice in the mock test papers of the mains, so that you develop a speed. And there are certain tricks that one should adopt to do fast writing in 7 minutes. One, write in more space, write less words, and write with wide spacing. This will fill up the whole answer sheet, and it will consume less words. So one is this, and second, while you are writing, just keep a track of time. For that, I would suggest one should go with a digital watch in the exam process. So what will happen is that you'll have second to second time track of time during that process. And another thing is that give equal or more or less equal time to all the answers. So in this way you won't be compromising on any answer. See, the logic of why I am saying is this: if you write some extraordinary content in any answer, you will hardly gain 1 or 2 marks. But if you skip any answer, or if you compromise on any answer, then you will lose 3 or 4 marks. So better to better to write all the answers equitably and just give allocated time. See, what I used to do was in 10 mark questions I used to give around 7 minutes, and in the 20 marks questions I used to give around 11 minutes. And this I used to follow religiously. If I was going around 10 minutes in any answer, so I just used to look at my time in my digital watch, and if the time I was going to exceed the time, so I used to start winding up that answer and move on to the next answer. So this was important for me.
Okay.
Time tracking is very important, and this has to be followed religiously, and for that important trick is to go with the digital watch.
To keep the track of the time,
second to second.
Okay. So what are your views regarding the note making? One must follow online mode, medium, or offline?
It depends in what medium a person is comfortable. I was comfortable in online medium, and I did it online, and online has definitely certain advantages, particularly modifying or editing the notes is very easy, and incorporating diagrams, incorporating images is also easier. So I would recommend online, but it depends on the person's comfort level.
Okay. So as you said, you have mathematics as your optional. So what was your strategy and the sources and the approach you followed? Any coaching you have taken in that?
Mathematics, mathematics is a very wide subject, and it doesn't have any overlap with the general studies. In that way, it is a very difficult optional subject. At the same time, the rewards that you earn after having completed the syllabus are huge, and there is a lot of certainty associated with the exam amidst the whole sea of uncertainty associated with the UPSC exam. So mathematics gives a lot of certainty. And regarding the strategy part, there are standard textbooks for each of the topic mentioned in the syllabus. We have to follow those standard books. Apart from that, I would say that there are two kind of topics in mathematics. One, conventional mathematics topics, and second, there are certain topics related to physics.
Okay.
For example, dynamics, statics, mechanics, fluid dynamics. So these topics have to be prepared separately. So what I used to do was, for these topics, the physics related topics, I used to refer to the standard textbooks, prepare a standard set of questions, and keep on revising those questions. And there used to be certain questions which required manipulation, and if you don't remember that manipulation in the actual exam, you won't be able to solve that. So I used to star mark those questions in the book and revise them particularly again and again. Similarly, for other conventional topics, we have to prepare them like very thoroughly, and if a question comes from those topics, one should try not to leave any of the question. And for that also, the strategy was similar, star marking those questions which required manipulation and keep on revising that manipulation. Because even if you know how to do that, if you have understood the question, the steps required to solve that question, it is not necessary that you will be able to solve that question in the actual examination if it requires manipulation and you don't remember that manipulation.
Okay. So is it coaching necessary for this optional or GS? You can do it on yourself?
Again, it depends on how proficient that person is. If a person in optional subject, if a person is having a good proficiency, then coaching may not be required. But in general, since optional subject requires reading up to the graduation level or the honors level in mathematics especially, so coaching would definitely help, and I would recommend taking coaching. But in general studies, coaching is not required in my opinion.
Okay.
General studies is a different ball game altogether, and one can do better by preparing self.
So as someone is a beginner, so what are the thought process he must follow to choose an option?
One, how comfortable he or she is in that optional subject, and second, how rewarding is that optional subject, and third, the availability of reading material. See, the optional subject has to be sustainable. There may be times when one has to go through that optional subject for 1 or 2 attempts. So that optional subject has to be carried on for a longer time, and for that only that optional subject will help, which is interesting for a reader. If that optional subject is not interesting, if a person doesn't find it comfortable, so it may not be the right optional subject. So interest is very much important, and apart from that, the marks that are coming in that optional subject and the availability of material.
Availability of material. Okay. So how to efficiently revise any topic or the whole syllabus, because at last that thing matters the most, that how much we have in our mind.
See, in general studies, while we read general studies, there are two things. One is the understanding, and second is value addition points. After 1 or 2 readings, one develops a good understanding of any topic in the general studies. For example, how our economy functions, in polity, about constitutional provisions, one has a good understanding of the various issues. What are the issues in agriculture? If anybody is writing mains, he or she has good understanding.
Okay.
But what differentiates one answer from the other is the content of the answer, the value addition points. For example, facts and figures, recommendations given by expert committees, judgments given by Supreme Court, especially in polity part. So these are the things that have to be revised again and again, and one need not revise the understanding part, the issue part, but these value addition points have to be revised. So they can be easily reproduced in the exam process. See, it's my experience, we have good understanding, but if we do not remember these value addition points in the exam process, we won't be able to write them. We will just be writing the stories without any substantiation. But just before the examination, if we have revised those points, value addition points, articles of the constitution, the committee's recommendations, Supreme Court judgments. If we have revised those, we'll be able to easily recall them in the exam and reproduce them in the answer copies. So that kind of revision is important.
That kind of, for that short notes will be helpful. So how you handle this whole journey, the stress, the pressure and the expectations of your elders and the surroundings?
See, there was indeed a lot of stress associated with the process, but I would just imagine that when I get into the service, the stress would be even more than 100 times. So if I can't handle this stress, then how will I handle that stress? So I used to handle that stress by thinking along these lines.
Okay. So you any particular tip or anything for the beginners or the new students who have this dream to get into these services?
The process is very long. It takes time. So one has to be patient enough. I cleared the exam in my third attempt. So patience is very important, and apart from that, right strategy has to be followed. I have seen people who keep on giving the attempt one after the other and just don't get anything. So that is not right strategy. If we have given any attempt and we have not been successful in that attempt, so we should carefully look at our faults and just try to make necessary amendments so that we can have better strategy for the next attempt. So continuous improvement is very important.
Okay. And also how you manage your friend circle and that environment, like we need to cut off from that for this examination, or we can do this hangout and everything, like we have to manage our environment also, no?
See, in life moderation is important. We have to strike a right balance. If we completely cut off from all our social circles, then it may not be sustainable. We may be we may not be very efficient in our preparation. But at the same time, if we indulge too much in our social interactions, then we won't have the time for our studies.
Yeah.
So this has to be balanced. We have to have fixed timings on what times we can go out with friends and go interact with make social interactions. So this has to be fixed. It cannot be random. So that is important.
So is it important to stay in the 𝗨𝗏𝗧 to prepare for this exam, or one can stay at home and do this? Like most of the aspirants have this craze to go to that 𝗨𝗏𝗧 and prepare there.
See, there are few locations in which there are various coaching institutions, and a lot of environment is there for the preparation. So people visit there, go there and study, but that is not necessary. Now everything is available on the internet, and one can study from the comforts of his home or her home. So but at the same time, there should be right environment at the home. If there's a lot of disturbance, if the environment is not conducive at home, then one may consider moving out and preparing the locations.
So this was our interaction with Chirag Jain bhaiya. So bhaiya, heartiest wishes to you from our entire 10M family for your future.
Thank you so much, and my best wishes to you and your channel, and I would congratulate you that you are bringing the best, very good content to the people and trying to help the aspirants, and all the best to you too.
Thank you.